I don't think you need to know physics for animation, but you can kind of appreciate. There's like a thing called squash and stretch that you do in animation. Like if you're animating and you just draw the ball here, 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 and have it land on the ground, it doesn't look right to the eye because the physics of it aren't right. You have to have it react and squash and settle and all these kind of things. So in a weird way, there is some physics of motion in animation. I think all the pain and suffering gave me a lot of comedy inspiration and material. When we would be just pulling an all-nighter and you're studying something like the Schrodinger equation or something, and you just get like, you know, my roommate and I would get into this thing where we would just start putting the word "but" into everything. It's like your mind needs to just like release. You've been doing all this stuff and you just want to just be as stupid as possible for a while to just kind of like blow it all out. And I think some of that might have helped in the Beavis and Butthead. I think one good thing that benefited me is technical challenges of movie making seem like nothing after you've done physics. Actually, the first job I had here in San Diego was I was a military subcontractor, and it was mostly electronic test systems for the F-18. Wasn't that glamorous. It was sitting in a cubicle looking at schematics and software, but there was a little bit of inspiration for Office Space in that, maybe, because there was a guy, at one point I was kind of bored, and there was this very weird guy that I don't even know what he did, but I just kind of said, hey, I won't say his name, how's it going? And he launched into this whole thing. He just started saying, well, if they move my desk one more time, I'm quitting. I mean, I used to be by the window and my fish tank would get more sun. He was going on like this, and I just opened the floodgates. No one ever talked to him. And that kind of was part of the inspiration for Milton later. But it was my second engineering job that just, I think that's when, on my first day on a Monday, I felt like I was walking into some kind of bizarre cult, and this was in the Bay Area. And by lunchtime, I was counting the hours until 6 o'clock when I could leave, but then 6 o'clock rolled around and nobody left, and then 6:30, and then 7, and finally 7:30, I was just like, made up an excuse, and then I realized, like, okay, that was Monday. I've got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the rest of my life till I retire. And so that was kind of like, there was a lot of inspiration there that I got for Office Space. Animation is something I always wanted to try. I just always loved the way it looked. I always wanted to get a camera in single frame and do claymation or something. I used to go to all these animation festivals. Still there's a few of them, but this thing called the Animation Celebration that would play in theaters all over the country, and it was playing in Dallas at the Inwood Theater. Films from all over the world, but they had a local animator had done a film that had made it into this thing, and they had his drawings on display in the lobby. And something about seeing an actual drawing sitting there and going, wow, this guy lives in my city, and he's made this film. There must be a camera here you can rent. Suddenly it started seeming like a possibility. I tried to draw this guy I went to high school with like 3 or 4 times in a sketchbook. One of these sketches evolved into Butthead and one into Beavis. Both started out as attempts to draw the same guy. Neither of them really looked like him. The one thing that was kind of like them, though, is he would sit there kind of like, he'd always be taking notes and biting his lip, which is like kind of where I got that thing of Beavis, and he'd always just kind of sucking up to the teacher. He would laugh at everything she said, and he'd just kind of go. From the get-go, Beavis and Butthead was really stressful. It's weird, like, it was really successful, but I don't think I enjoyed the success until it was over, because there was always something stressful about it. It was either, I mean, MTV didn't really know what they were doing. Nice folks, but they were just like, this show gets ratings, we want it on every day. as many as you can possibly do and keep doing them, and you just can't do an animated show every day. It just doesn't, it's never been done. And then there was all this controversy and it became like this kind of, it was like the scapegoat for everything, people hated about TV. And then it took a while. Then that ended up getting a lot of people defending it. And then the pressure started coming off. But yeah, it was always a mixed bag. There was one point in the just peak of like when we were doing way too many episodes way too fast, where I was sitting in bed half asleep and I started to have this weird dream where Beavis and Butthead were talking to me. And I was like, oh, what's that crazy movie where the ventriloquist puppet takes over or whatever? It was like a horror movie, and it just really freaked me out. It's weird when I'm doing a movie, like right now I'm in the thick of post-editing this movie Extract. When I'm doing that, I think, I'm just going to do TV. When I'm doing TV for long enough, I think like I should do a movie. I mean, I'm really lucky that I get to do both. The nice thing about TV is if you don't nail it in this episode, you got more to go. Like Beavis and Butthead, it took a while. When it hit its stride, I think it was really good. And that would have been hard to do if I just said, okay, I'm going to go from nothing to a movie about Beavis and Butthead. I don't know. I think, I don't really have anything that brilliant to say to somebody who's a freshman right now, other than one thing I was saying earlier when some students were asking me that kind of occurred to me at the moment was I've seen so many people ruin their careers before they start by just being a jerk and not being nice. So like, whatever you're going to go into, if you can just, be humble and nice and show up on time, you'd be amazed how far that can get you, along with being talented and well-educated. I mean, that's one thing that just comes to mind. I would say if you want to go into the entertainment business, become a film director or comedy writer, you should major in physics.